you know that's a good call if it's multiple persons calling in. So we were primary on the call, talked to the neighbors, learned there was a husband and wife and a baby boy about 8 months old inside the apartment. So John and I made a plan for entry. I was going to go to the left and lock it down. He was going to go to the right. Well, when we kicked the door, it only opened about that much, about 6 inches. And I was a little smaller at that time, like 115 pounds. And I had this sense of urgency, partly because of my past incident.
Sure, yeah.
And the intensity of that, I had to get in there. And I told my partner, if I take my gun belt off and I have my gun with me, I can get in there. I can try to get that door open for you guys. And he goes, you're not going in there without me. And that solidified our partnership forever, for life.
Yeah.
And he took his gun belt and left it with the guys, the backup. I left mine, and we locked down the front. And there was a large wooden armoire, heavy piece of furniture that somebody had deliberately placed in front of the door so that we couldn't get in. We were able to move it just enough so the backup officers came in with us to help clear. It's a high priority call and critical when there's shots fired. And so we cleared every room down a hallway, and the master bedroom was the last room. And it was so eerie to me because, and my partner and I have talked about this, I mean, even now that we've retired, we're still in touch. It was so horrible that we didn't hear any noise from any family member, including the baby. And so we have this intense feeling of dread as we enter the last room. And what we find is the husband had shot his wife in the head with a gun and shot himself. And I'm trying to get the baby, to see if the baby's alive or not. And I picked the baby up. He was laying on his back, covered in blood, looking at the ceiling, not moving, frozen, absolutely frozen. All I could do was pick him up and hold him to my heart, over my vest, over my badge, and just try to comfort him and let him know that he's safe, he's okay now. Ironically, and this is one reason I chose this story to talk about 2 years later, I got a routine radio call. It was a neighbor dispute or something. So I met the woman, the person that called in, and she started talking about, the only time I've ever talked to the police before or had to call them is when I found out that my sister had been shot and killed by her husband, and they had the baby, she had the baby, and I ended up raising the baby. When you're in the moment as an officer, you have to do your job. And I didn't want to upset her or show any emotion, but the only words I could say was, I was there.
Yeah.
I was there. I didn't tell her about picking the baby up or anything. But I believe that was not a coincidence. God put me there in that moment to let me know and reassure me that baby is in a safe place with a happy, healthy home with his mom's sister.